Do you ever feel afraid of being angry? Like anger is just this bad thing that you're never supposed to feel? Sometimes anger gets a bad rap, but it isn't actually a bad thing. So today I want to talk about how to make your anger work for you and not against you. I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist and a life recovery coach. So before I jump into this topic, I just want to remind you to click like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And I also want to mention there is a link in the description below so that you can set up a complimentary consultation call with me if you'd like to find out more about working with me or how hypnotherapy works or how it can be customized to your situation. All that information is in the link in the description. So first I want to talk about what anger is. What does it mean when anger shows up? The thing is, anger is not a bad thing. It's just another feeling, just like all of our feelings. But it means that something is not fair. Whenever anger shows up, you can be pretty sure that your body's telling you something's not fair, something's not right. If you think about it, kids are kind of born with this sense of justice. You know, kids that are lined up at school in a line and someone cuts in front of them, they're like, hey, that's not fair. They know right away when something isn't fair, when someone isn't following the rules, or when someone's doing something that's causing them to be put back in a position that they shouldn't have been in to begin with. So ultimately, it is a good feeling. It's a good emotion to have because it's telling you something. It's telling you that there's an injustice. Anger is sending you a message to say, hey, pay attention to this. Something's not right. There's an injustice here. So why do we get so freaked out about it? The thing is that it becomes an issue when anger persists, when it continues to go on. And the reason it keeps going on happens actually for a few reasons. First of all, people just dismiss it. They dismiss the things that are making them angry. They do this by justifying someone else's bad behavior and not addressing it. This really happens when they aren't assertive, when they refuse to use their own voice to speak up. Now, it doesn't mean that speaking up always changes the other person's behavior, but it calls attention to something that isn't right. When someone doesn't express what they want or what they need, or that some other person's behavior is out of alignment, they just continue to shrink down, to become small. They become people pleasers because they don't want to rock the boat. So anger that isn't listened to or processed properly can actually become a really big issue when it just continues to be ignored or not addressed. It's not that the anger itself is bad, it's what you do with the anger when it's sending you these messages. Anger is simply sending a message that something isn't fair. So what can you do about it? First, I want you to ask yourself if this thing can be made fair. If something is unfair and creating anger, what will it require to make that thing fair and right? And is that in your power or control to make happen? The second thing that you need to do is you really need to ask yourself what your life will be like in the future if you don't do something about this unfairness, if you don't address the cause of the anger. If you can actually see what it's going to bring into your future and the damage that it's going to cause, that actually becomes a motivation that drives you to create a different reality because you don't want this thing to happen. If you can really tune into what it's going to feel like and what you're going to experience, if you ignore it, then you won't want to ignore it because you won't want to create that reality. Having that clarity will actually cause you to move toward change instead of running from whatever's causing that anger. Because if you are running from your anger, you're actually running toward the reality that you don't want. The third thing you can do is get really clear about what you do want. When you know what you do want in life, you can actually create action steps to make that happen. If you don't know where you're going or what you want, it's kind of hard to get there. So if you really know what you do want, that helps you move in the direction that you want to go instead of in this direction of ignoring whatever's causing this anger and keeping you stuck. So you need to know what you want, and you need to know which steps you need to take to get to what you want. Now, the key factor in tying this all together and making it a cohesive plan and creating a reality that you really want is addressing these issues on a subconscious level. Reframing those limiting beliefs that are causing you to ignore these things that come up in your life, ignore these feelings that could be driving you to change. Instead, you're kind of shoving them down or turning the other way. Those limiting beliefs in your mind, they need to get reframed on a subconscious level so you can actually get your power back. So you're not trying to make all these changes using just your willpower. You want to make these changes using your subconscious mind, which is running the show. It's, controlling over 95% of everything you think, feel, and do. So when you get that lined up and you reconnect with your confidence, then you can create a pattern in your life that allows you to be assertive, allows you to step into the reality that you want, and gives you the courage and self-confidence to say no to the things you don't want. So ultimately, anger is a good thing. It's showing you something that needs to be addressed, some unfairness in your life. But you don't want to stay angry. Staying angry can create all kinds of health problems. It can create all this emotional distress. And really, it's like your body just cannot stay at war with itself without having some physical damage. So it needs to be addressed. Those things that aren't fair need to be made fair, or you need to change your life in a way that gets you on the path toward what you want so that this unfairness isn't constantly poking at your anger. So the goal is to tune into those messages that your body's sending you. Tune into the anger when it shows up and figure out what it's telling you so that you can correct it, so you can get your life back into alignment and back into integrity. This can be a really bad dynamic in relationships that turn toxic. And the thing is, one person loses their ability to listen to their anger, and this keeps them from acting on the injustice that they're receiving from the toxic person. So they don't act assertively. They don't choose themselves. They don't fill themselves up and build a life that they love so that they aren't so dependent on the other person giving them what they need. And then ultimately, if the other person isn't going to stop their toxic behavior, then they have the confidence and self-worth to leave that situation. So tuning in to what you're feeling, what those messages your feelings are sending you is a big part of this. And the most profound and rapid way to create this change is through customized hypnotherapy program. This allows you to really get your confidence back, to connect with your self-worth, and to understand the messages that your feelings are sending you. Ultimately, when you're connected to your confidence and your self-worth, you can create the change you want. You can become assertive, and assertive is not a bad thing. Assertive means you are choosing you. You're choosing what's best for you, and you're taking good care of yourself. Eliminating those subconscious blocks, all of those old core beliefs that aren't serving you, is the most rapid way for you to create the change in your life that you really want. So if you're ready, and I mean really ready, check out that link, set up that consultation, and see if a customized hypnotherapy program is right for you. You won't regret it. I also want to mention before I go, there is also a link in the description so that you can download a free relaxation hypnosis recording that I've done. So feel free to check that out. It can help you just start tuning into yourself, start calming that nervous system and getting back to a place of alignment. So until next time, curate a life by your own design.